Here it goes. All right. This story happened about 25 years ago.
About the traffic ticket?
Yeah, I told you, right?
No, I want. Maybe you did. I never heard of it.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Even if you did hear it before, pretend you never heard it before. Here's the story. About 25 years ago, I was coming back on Friday. I was coming back from the marketplace where I put tefillin on people. It was one of the winter months, and the days are very short. So Shabbat comes in like 4:15 or something. So I was in a bit of a hurry. I came back. I went into a, a gas station. They didn't have any gas, so I went to the gas station and I got gas. And I came out, and I was surprised to see that the usually I would come out to the gas station and just go right back into the road where I went, but they made a line on the road, so you couldn't do that anymore. You had to make like a right turn, and then shortly afterwards it was you make a like a left turn, and then you come around. You make anyway. It was about a 3 minute, 4 minute detour, and if there was traffic lights, it could be like a 6 minute detour. So I came out of the gas station, and I wanted to go back in the street. It's late. It's late. It's Erev Shabbos, and I saw that there was this white line there. You're not supposed to go over. I said, "What's this?" They just made this thing now, and I figured, oh, come on. I mean, I just came back from putting tefillin on people, which is a big mitzvah, and I'm going to home to keep Shabbos, which is also a big mitzvah. So I figured I'm surrounded by mitzvahs. Obviously, I'm protected by the holy commandments. Nothing's going to happen to me. And not only that, it's just a line. They just an arbitrary line. They just draw in the street. I mean, I'm going out. It's not that I'm breaking into somebody's house or something. A line on this. I went over anyway. So as soon as I went over this line, a policeman jumped out from behind a bush, and he signaled to go move over. So I was caught. He knew that people were going to were going to go over this line, and it was a way for making money. Who knows what it was? Anyway, to teach me to keep me in line. So he pulls me over, and he says, "License and registration." So I show him my license and registration. He says, "Oh, you're from Kfar Chabad." So I said, "Yeah." So I figured he's going to say, "Oh, Kfar, I love Chabad. You can go." He said, "Get out of the car. Come over to the car to my the police car. I want to check to see if you have any bed and what your past is." So I figure, wow, it's going to be now. It's getting late. So he looks and he sees. He says, "Tell me what your name is, Bolton. Don't I know you?" So I said, "Well, maybe you know me from prison." He said, "You were in prison?" I said, "Yeah, I went, to read the Megillah to people." He said, So meanwhile, he takes out this big sort of thing. He's writing me a ticket. And he says, I had an episode with Lubavitcher Rebbe, a big miracle of Lubavitcher Rebbe. So I figured, oh, this is good. I said, so tell me the story. At least I'll get something out of this ticket. You know, and I figured also when he's telling me the story, he won't be able to stop other people, right? He won't. He'll be busy with me. So he tells the story. What's the story? He says, it happened like 10 years ago or whatever it is. And when he was telling me the story, the story happened that I'm telling you, it happened about 25 years ago. So he told me that this happened like, 5 years prior to that. He said that he was a motorcycle policeman and that an Arab ran into him and knocked him off his bike, lifted him up, and he fell down over this sort of, what is it, road barrier or whatever. He fell down like, 15 feet. And it just happened to be that another police car was driving by and he saw the whole thing and he immediately called an ambulance. He arrested the Arab and he called an ambulance and he said, he took me to the hospital. They took me to the hospital and they started doing emergency things. And I was, my spine was broken, my neck was broken with this. And they did operations, a whole series of operations, about a year, one operation after another. I was in the hospital all the time. Finally, when they finished, as they said, it was a big miracle. They saved my life. A big miracle. You don't know what a big miracle it was. Big miracle. But I was half paralyzed. That's what this policeman tells me. He said I was half paralyzed. I said my whole right side of my body was paralyzed. So I went home And the other policemen were visiting me, and they told me I was going to get benefits and I was going to get this, but I was paralyzed. And the doctor said that maybe there's a chance it'll come back, but it's like 1,000,000 and 1. And meanwhile, I'm starting to get really depressed. I'm sitting at home. I was an active person, and now I can't do anything. And everyone's telling me how lucky I am and how this I am. And then my doctor called me up and he told me that my situation is deteriorating, and that he looked through one of these medical journals and he found that in Germany they're working on a on a some sort of a method to enliven nerves, dead nerves, and they claim that they've had like 15% success, 15-20% success, and that this doctor, my family doctor, he thinks that I should really consider it, because if not, the situation is just going downhill, and that here is at least you have a chance, maybe it'll get better. So in those days, those were the days of the fax machines. So I sent them a fax, and they sent me back the information and about this new method and this and the doctor this doctor and this and all the credentials of all these doctors. And so I decided, we talked to when my wife, we decided we'll go for it. So I put a down payment for the operation, and I got a place in a hotel, which is nearby, whatever, that I would stay there. And meanwhile, I'm starting to, get really nervous about this thing. Okay, so it was a Friday. Now, this person telling me the story, he says, I was a totally not religious Jew, totally not religious. I don't know how religious he was when he told me the story, because it was pretty close to Shabbos, and he was he was working with full. Maybe he went home, couldn't anyway. But he said I was totally not religious Jew. I was anti. I hated the religious people, hated them. And he said that, okay, so it's Friday, and the operation is scheduled for the next Wednesday. In other words, 5 days away. 5 days away. So I'm starting to get really nervous, feeling really bad. I'm thinking to myself, listen, I'm going to make this operation. Is an 80% chance that I'm going to be left, crippled for the whole rest. I'll be nothing. At least now I can use half of my body. I can do something. Maybe it'll just nothing. Maybe I'll die. I'm starting to get worried. Anyway, all of a sudden, a friend of mine comes in Friday, and he comes in with this religious young man. So I yelled at my friend. I said, "What are you bringing the burial society in here? Get him out of here. These religious people, I've got enough troubles. I don't want to look at them. They're a bunch of leeches. All they want is money." So my friend says, calm down. He doesn't want money. I said, well, no, what does he want? He said, I told him my story. It's a friend of mine. He said, he put the filling on me in the marketplace. He's from Chabad. And he wants to, says, Chabad, they're all a bunch of liars, a bunch of thieves. What are you talking about? Get him out of here. So he says, no. I told him about it. He says, you can send a fax to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And he said, no, how much does that cost? He says, it doesn't cost anything. and tell him what your problem is. So I said, well, okay, I have a fax in my house. I'll send it from my I don't need him. He said, okay. The young man said, okay, here's the fax number. Here it is. So well, what should I do? He said, write down what you want. So I told my wife to write down that I want health, and that I want, the healing, refuah shlema, and I want I want to work. I want to work. So I wrote it on the fax, sent it in, and that's it. I told the boy to get out of here. I'm not giving him any money. And he says, I don't want money, and left. No, Motzi Shabbos, about 3 a.m. All of a sudden, the fax starts rattling, and my wife looks at it and says, "What's this?" And it's a letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, a fax from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. No, what is it? Maybe they only discovered it in the morning, on Sunday morning when they woke up. What is it? It said, the Rebbe says here that you should not make the operation, and that you'll get your old work back. So I said to my wife, let me see that thing. So she showed it to me. I took it and I crumpled it up. I threw it in the ground and I started cursing. Said, if someone would say those things to me now, what I said back then, I would punch him. He said, my wife said, what are you angry about? I said, don't you see how transparent this is? It's a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud. So what's a fraud? I said, what did he say? Don't make the operation. Did I say something about an operation? I wrote, I want health. I want to, I deserve an operation. So my wife said, well, maybe he has, maybe he knew it from, he's a spiritual person from prophecy. I said, is a prophecy? What are you talking about prophecy? That young man, that young religious kid, he told the Rebbe, he wrote in, he told this Rebbe. And now if I do happen to get better and the operation works, then he's going to want the money. He's going to say it's his blessing to me. And work, I'm going to get the same work as I had before. What are you talking about? The whole right side is, he told me his whole side fell down, even his face fell down. None of the muscles work. So my wife said, okay, calm down, calm down. Okay, meanwhile, now it's Sunday, right? Sunday. And the operation is supposed to be on Wednesday. Monday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 in the morning, Monday, the phone rings. Said, I picked up the phone. Hello. He said, is this David Malul? I said, yeah. Said, listen, I'm calling from the police department, police station in Beersheba. And we looked at your portfolio, and we see that you were a traffic policeman on motorcycle policeman, and we want to open up a new department over here for a motorcycle police department, and we'd like to see if you'd like to be part of it, maybe even the head of it. So I said to him, I started cursing him. I said, what are you playing tricks in the morning? You're the practical jokes in the morning. I'm a sick man. Leave me alone. Give me. And I cursed him out. And I cursed his mother out and everything. And I slammed the phone down. He said, but suddenly I looked. He's telling me the story. When the cars are whizzing by, right? I looked at my hand and I saw it. 1 second. I lifted up the phone with my right hand. So I thought maybe I was confused. I was dreaming or something. So I looked. I saw that no, it's both hands work. I couldn't believe it. So the phone rang again. And this time I looked at my hand, he said, and I picked up the phone. And I said, yes. He said, is this David Mulul? I said, yes. He said, well, what did you curse me out for? I'm calling up at 5 in the morning. You don't want the job, don't take it. What type of person are you to curse me out? I said, listen, I was having in the middle of a bad dream. I was dreaming a fish ate me or something. And I was all confused. I'm really sorry. He says, listen, you want the job? Okay. You don't want the job? Okay. That's all right. Don't come, but what do you have to curse? I apologized another time. He gave me the directions. He said, I started walking around my house. I saw that immediately we called Germany. I stopped the operation. We canceled the the hotel. And that Wednesday was the first time I drove down. I drove down to the police station in Beersheba. They gave me all these tests and whatever. And I went back home. The next Sunday, they called me up and said, you're in. You got the job. Come down and get get what is it, the indoctrination, whatever it is, get the papers. And so I went down there and I brought my old x-rays and I showed it to the doctor that was there that checked me up. And he said, oh, who's this person? Is your father? Said, no, that's me. So the doctor said, that can't be you. This person had all sorts of operations and things were broken. You didn't have anything. Look at your good x-rays. So he said, I don't understand it. This David Mulul, he told me, I don't understand it, how it could possibly be a thing like that. He said, but I'm sure this is 5 years after the Rebbe passed away, you want to call it. I'm sure that if the Rebbe could give me a new body, that the Rebbe is here in his physical body. That's what he said. I said, okay, I can't disagree with that. So I said, that was really worth the ticket that you gave me. That was worth it. He said, it's not a ticket, it's a warning. I looked at it, I saw it's a warning. So I said to him, looked at the paper, I was very happy. I said, the miracle just happened with me is bigger than the miracle that happened with you. And I looked at him and he wasn't there. He wasn't there. Where was he? Back in the street, pulling people over, right? That went over this line. So afterwards, I told this to one of my good friends here in Kfar Chabad. And he said, yes, he heard the same story from this man. He said, but by him, he gave him a ticket. It was 500 shekels or whatever he gave him the ticket. So we see that the things are health and healing is above nature. It's above nature. And above nature, that's where the Jews are attached. And somehow or other, the Rebbe was able to bring this into manifestation in a person's physical body. And so it will be with us, that Mashiach will come, third temple is there. It says the whole third temple is ready in heaven. Where it could possibly be, I don't know. But it's going to come down from heaven. It's in the Gemara. It's not just a Kabbalistic thing. It's going to come down, Mikdash Hashem Konanidecha, and then it's going to be in all the newspapers. All the Jews will return back to Israel. For sure, when that happens, all the Arabs will be quiet. Right? the one who doing the explanation, the definition and explanation of what is a Jew won't be the Israeli government. It'll be the Mashiach himself. Everyone will see that the Jews are really the servants of God and the wife of God and the son of God and the chosen ones of God to make this world a perfect, happy, healthy place. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, see you all at 8 o'clock in the morning, Yom Rishon. Shalom Uvracha. Shabbat Shalom.